So my name is Santia Barnes. I'm an athlete turned entrepreneur. I made history three times by first becoming the first female athlete to own a shoe company called Tronos, a second time by being offered the largest contract in women's football, and then a third time by being the first person to launch a online marketplace dedicated to female athletes and active women. I started playing football back in 2015 after graduating from college. I had a full ride to Texas A&M. I was 100, 200, 4x1 runner. Graduated, and then it was like, what's next? And I was driving one day, saw a flag football tryout sign, went, and kind of the rest was history. So it wasn't like an amazing story. Like, I just was driving and I seen it. I think the moment I fell in love, I feel like it was when I was young. Like, I grew up in Texas, it's football country. All of us on Sundays would all crowd around the TV, order pizza, order nachos, order wings, and that was like what we did on Sunday. But I think it was when I went to that practice and I realized, like, oh, I'm a female, but like I'm actually pretty good. Like, I can keep up with the boys. And having that opportunity, even though it ended with me getting hit in my chest and my mom saying no, I realized, like, okay, I can do what the boys can do too. And that kind of made me fall in love. Football elevated my life because first of all, like, that's how I blew up on social media. Like, I was already like doing my thing with just being an athlete, like running track and just doing stupid, crazy stuff in the gym. But like when I started playing football and I started going viral, that's when like my life started to like really change drastically. I was doing stuff with the NFL. I was doing stuff with Nike, Adidas, all types of stuff back in the day. I'm an OG in flag, so I got to say that too. I'm an OG. Adidas had reached out to me, and they were like, "Do you want to go to the Super Bowl with us? We have some activations happening. You'll get to go to the Super Bowl and all this different stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And so they flew me out for Super Bowl, and I was just doing all. I met all these NFL players. I got to interview Russell Wilson and Sierra, and it was just like I was like, "Yo, social media's let me do this." And then from there, like, I just had all types of opportunities come from just being an influencer, but also just being a woman breaking barriers. And yeah, it changed my life. I think the most challenging thing was when I got injured, when I tore my ACL. It was shortly after I had kind of started healing from COVID and I was cleared to get back to practice. It was my first year playing tackle for real, for real. And I everybody had super high expectations for me, and I had, of course, high expectations for myself. But it was a rainy day. It was cold. It was just really nasty outside. And my best friend called me and she was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to practice today." She was like, "Are you gonna go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have no choice. I've been out. I missed so many practices." She was like, "Bet, I'm not going." And I remember feeling like God was telling me, like, don't go. Just put them covers back on your body, go back to sleep. But if I'm being honest, my ego was so big. I just really wanted to prove a point. People were like, "Oh, she plays flag. She can't really take no hits." Even though I play rugby, which is crazy. But it was just a lot of chatter in the football world. And I just felt the need to prove something, which I don't ever recommend doing it because it always leads to disaster. But anyways, I followed that, went to practice. The whole way there, I felt like God was like, turn around, turn around. Got to practice. Energy was off. It was very weird. But I remember like warm-ups was fine. You know, we started doing some hidden drills. It was good. And then we got into like gameplay, right? So all of the rookies had to just run the same plays over and over, do different, whatever it was the coaches wanted us to do at that time. And one of the plays, I remember it was my first one. I did a wheel route. It went well, but I remember watching the quarterback slipping, the receiver slipping, everybody was slipping, and the coach, for whatever reason, was not moving us out of the mud. And so one of the last plays before getting injured, I just saw everybody backing up and I didn't know why. It felt like I was kind of getting set up. But I remember doing that same play, ended up slipping out the backfield, felt my leg going under me. And then all of a sudden, everybody on the field started piling on top of me and I heard a pop. And then that was kind of it. I knew that I had injured myself. I didn't know it was my ACL, but I knew something was wrong. Um, and I knew that my life was about to change. I was in denial for like probably a week, and my mom was, taking care of me. She came to my house and everything, and she was like, "You gotta sit down. Like, you can't play." I said, "Nah, I'm good. I promise you." By the way, let me tell you how crazy that moment was. I had got a call from Coca-Cola to do a commercial for the Super Bowl, like a few days prior. I had also got re-invited back to the Super Bowl, but I was supposed to play in a celebrity flag football game at Super Bowl. So in my head, I'm like, what the like? I was having a whole panic attack. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like I was literally like suffocating. And my mom was like, Santia, you can't do. I said, Mom, you know how much money this is? Like, I can't do this. And she was like, Santia, like, you don't have a freaking eight. Like, what you gonna do? And I just said, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I promise you, I'm good. She was like, if you go out there, you're gonna completely just tear it completely. And I just couldn't accept it for a very long time. And then I remember I went to the doctor. He confirmed. He was like, yeah, it's not completely torn, but it's hanging by a thread. And so I was like, so can I play? He was like, you got to get surgery. I was like, I can't get surgery. I got this coming up. He was like, I'm sorry. Like, you got to let that go. And just to be very honest, I went into like a very told you I'm a cry. I went into like a very deep depression that I honestly didn't know if I was gonna make it out of. But it was because like I didn't look at myself as more than an athlete at that point. Like all my identity was in being this athlete. That's all I knew since I was like 3. So the fact that that was taken away, I had nothing to do with it. And I couldn't control it. It was like the hardest thing I ever had to go through. And I remember I went to the Super Bowl anyway, which was the dumbest thing to do. I went anyway. And I remember sitting in a hotel room and because I was supposed to go to playing that game. And I remember like going to the game and like Michael Vick was there, like all the people that I was like, man, this would have been a great opportunity. And I remember going to the game, dumb idea, went back to the hotel, and I remember I just was bawling. Like, I just was like, Mom, I can't do this. Like, I can't. And she was like, you got to give it to God. You got to give it to God. Let it go. And I remember that moment in the hotel room, I just was like, God, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what you want me to do at this point. But whatever it is, you got to save me right now because I can't save myself right now. Thank you. And so I remember I had to let it go, leave it at the altar, and I asked God to just show me who I'm supposed to be outside of this. And I just had to let it go and just accept where I was. And that was just a very long, dark journey for me, but I made it through. And through that, I ended up publishing my second book called More Than an Athlete. I met my husband, which I honestly would not have met him because I was so busy being an athlete. And yeah, God just opened up a lot of doors outside of that. But that's why I preach so much to parents, like teach your kids how to be more than just an athlete. Because when it's going, they're going too. And you gotta be that parent to pour into them and tell them like, yes, you are this athlete, but God has made you to be more than just that, because when it's gonna end. It's gonna end at some point, whether it's you get older or it's injury. And what do you do next? Who are you after that? I never thought I was gonna start a sports media company. That literally just came out of nowhere. But I feel like sometimes God calls you, to do things that you're like, me? I'm not even qualified for that. But to me, I just felt like he was calling me to do that and utilize my platform to tell these women's stories. And then also help them with economic opportunities and empowerment. And so here I am. Her Locker is the marketplace for winning her way. And pretty much it's like Amazon or Etsy, but for female athletes. So they'll get anything and everything they need in this one marketplace, from hair products, snacks, protein, sports equipment, but also have the opportunity to make money by selling their own products in there and becoming like a brand ambassador or affiliate for the vendors within the marketplace. And we're also working on allowing them to list their services so they can be like, I charge $100 for a walkthrough. I charge $50 for a post. But I care deeply about making sure that these women have control of their own destinies so that they don't have to depend on a check that might or might not come. So I am officially retiring from football. I know you all have been asking me day in, day out, when am I coming back? I am not coming back as an athlete, but now I'm coming back to pour into the next generation. And I hope that you all will follow me to my next chapter and be just as supportive because I got a lot planned. And you can learn more about Winning Her Way at winningherway.com. And see you guys next time.